Roll. Game tied at 15. But this, a very serious and tough moment for Boston. We know Gordon Hayward in his injury history takes a hard hit here, did not return John Collins on the pick.
I'm going to go with you. You got tough juice. That shoulder lean a little bit?
That was a little shoulder lean right there.
Shoulder, okay.
But that's what Dole should have been mad about. Boyle, I would say, should have been mad about in the Chicago game if you would have saw a screen like that.
Okay.
Meanwhile, Jaylen Brown, he's been impressive recently. 23 points, going high percentage here.
Oh my.
Tough dude, he did a game, and Brad Stevens said he takes his athleticism to another level when the playoffs get here. That's crazy.
Guys, Kyrie Irving, jersey, untucked in the back there. You know what that means.
Step back.
You know what you call that? Hip-hop.
Yeah.
Boston ahead, 103-78. Look like they're cruising to a win, but this Hawks team.
Half man is still amazing.
The comeback is for real. Kid Bazemore cutting teamwork.
I like it.
Yeah.
Then you know this guy, T.Young?
Yeah, I straight again.
Steals.
This kid is balling.
26 points,
deep,
5 for 8 from three-point range. Game tied up in the fourth quarter to come back, almost complete, 112-112. And it's a lot of ball movement by the Celtics. Jaylen Brown with the wide open look. Then it's Kyrie Irving on the second chance.
Winning basketball.
30 points, 11 rebounds, 9 assists, just 1 dime away from a triple-double for Kyrie Irving. But again, Jaylen Brown providing that spark off the bench. Here he is. Well, maybe the Celtics were just waiting for March. They're 6-2 this month. They had just 5 wins in all of February, and Kyrie Irving has led the Celtics in assists in 7 of their last 8 games all this month. How dangerous are the Celtics when it's Kyrie Irving not just scoring like a monster, but distributing the best we've ever seen him in his career?
Yeah, he's assisting at an amazing clip. I think his assists went up, and they're staying in the range of 7 to 12 per game, somewhere in between. And I feel like the healing really started on the road trip. You take that trip out west, you get away from home, and that camaraderie is built. Jason Tatum's birthday, those guys sit down, they celebrate the young fella finally being 21 years old. They go in, get a quality win versus the defending champs, and they really sweep through the Western Conference on that West Coast swing. And then they tapped into something. The foundation, what made them all so special. And now they're just having fun playing. You see Kyrie over there, he apologized for the moodiness that he had during that stretch, showed a ton of growth, and it's just amazing to see that.
You talk about the phrase tapped in. They tapped into finally believing in one another. Kyrie, I'm 21 now. We did this last year without you. We need you. We want you, but we want you to be the type of leader we know you can be, to your question. Now he's assisting. Now he's back scoring. Guess what, Kyrie? We believe in you as a champion again. And I think sometimes we forget as a young team, you get all that success. I thought it was a great point we used Denver.
Yeah.
If you don't know, sometimes you just go out there and play, things happen. It reminded me of the young team in Orlando in '94. We went so far. We didn't know no better. We didn't have that experience yet. So you bring up a great point. But this team had to believe in who they were, what they did last year, and you bring back 2 all-stars that have done it at a very high level. And, of course, Gordon Hayward's not back there yet. So imagine him getting back to form. Now Kyrie's showing you with his leadership in scoring and passing, he's back to form. And now when the playoffs kick, they've already proven, to your point once again, they can go on the road and win in your building. And when you have that type of confidence and the playoff kicks in, now put pressure back on Brad Stevens. We say he's a great coach. Hey, coach, now all your talent is playing to their ability. Now can you orchestrate and push the right buttons?
Playoffs, talking my language, because it was just 2 weeks ago we looked at the Celtics like, okay, they're nestled into that 5th spot. But whoa, look now, just a game and a half behind the Pacers and the 76ers and moving up to possibly that 3rd spot in the East. So can they realistically catch those 2 teams and get home court advantage in the postseason?
So to catch, 3 games, 3 games, that's possible.
I mean, anything possible, but a lot of things bad have to happen for the Pacers, and I think with Nate McMillan at the helm, I just don't think that they're going to be trending in the wrong direction. I think they're gearing up to play their best basketball going down the stretch also. And, the Boston Celtics are playing extremely well also. Who knows how long Gordon Hayward's going to be down with that they're going to be super careful on the way that they bring him back from that situation. I don't know if it was just a neck strain or whatever the case may be, but you want him to be available for the second part of the season, which is the playoffs.
Sometimes it's easy to overlook a guy who's a glue guy on a team, but Aaron Baines defensively for the Celtics really seems to provide a difference for them when he's in the lineup. Is he someone that we overlook when talking about the Celtics, because it's easy to look at Kyrie and the things that he brings to the table?
I don't think we overlook it. I know opposing teams don't overlook it because, to your point, he rebounds. And since the theme of the night we started the show with setting screens, he's one of the best 5 men in our game that set screens because it gets the dribbler wide open to come down here and create and attack the defense. So his intangibles for the Celtics are definitely needed. They need him 100% when the playoffs get here.
Him and Adams do a remarkable job of sacrificing their body to get Russell Westbrook open, Paul George open, and you see the same thing with Baines. And also, on the opposing end, they're not so much of a liability. They're able to move their feet.
Shooting threes now.
Yeah, they cover coverages extremely well, so it's amazing to see that also.
Yeah, it's interesting to see a lineup with Marcus Morris, Aaron Baines, and then also Al Horford, those 3 guys in the forward slots, in the center slot, because normally they play small ball with like Jaylen Brown and Gordon Hayward. So it's interesting to see Brad Stevens, as they approach the postseason, tinkering with his lineups.
Yeah, look, it's all about adjustments. It really is. And, he had to do so much last season, specifically with young guys, and now you have more of a stable group of, you got Al Horford, you got Baines back, you got a little experience with Tatum and Brown and Smart, with those guys getting all the way to the Eastern Conference Finals. Now it's just a matter of making sure that you make the seamless transition with Kyrie going into the playoffs, where he's the ultimate closer for you guys.
Well, the Los Angeles Lakers announced today that Brandon Ingram underwent successful thoracic outlet decompression surgery on his right arm. Ingram is expected to make a healthy recovery by the start of training camp and be ready at the beginning of next season. More Game Time presented by State Farm coming up.
I got to call my doctor.
Mr. Triple-Double himself, Russell Westbrook. Back-to-back triple-doubles, 27 on the season, leads the NBA. He's going to have to face the Golden State Warriors and Steph Curry without Kevin Durant tonight.
That's a bad man right there.
Shut your mouth.
Yes, you did.
Julius Randle also coming off a career-high 45.
Happy for the young fella. Happy for him.
On Friday, he has the Phoenix Suns tonight as well. And speaking of those Portland Trailblazers, they won that game. They've won 3 in a row. They face the San Antonio Spurs, who have won 7 in a row. 8:30 tip for that one.
I hate to hit repeat, but that was a bad man right there.
Yeah.
Shut your mouth times too. Welcome to Game Time Live. It's a Shooter Saturday. Chris Miles here with PD and Tough Juice. 8 games tonight. Should be a fun one. But before we get into some of this afternoon's action and what you can look forward to this evening, let's take a look back at something interesting from Friday night. Clippers beat the Bulls. Late in the third quarter, both head coaches were ejected at the same time. Doc Rivers, Jim Boylan had several run-ins throughout the game about hard screens set by Montrezl Harrell. Here's Doc Rivers with a not-so-subtle message.
I have no idea why I was ejected. I really don't. Honestly, I was talking to the ref. I just said basically that was a clean pick, and all of a sudden I hear Boylan yelling at me, saying that we were dirty or whatever, because I guess in the first half we said another legal pick, and one of their guys got hurt. That's, I wanted to say maybe turn around and yell at your guys and tell them to call out picks, but don't yell at me. I didn't say it that nicely. And then the ref just came and threw us both out. So I don't ever talk to the other coach unless the coach talks to me. That I didn't think I should have been thrown out for that. I didn't instigate anything.
Coach Doc reaching back into what player Doc might have sounded like in that situation. Is he correct?
I think he is, because look at the situation. The Chicago Bulls are a team that's struggling right now. They're trying to, finish the season out strong. They don't want to say 1, 2, 3 Cancun just yet. Right. So they're trying to stay engaged. And you see that pick right there. Look, that was a hard, solid screen right there.
Legal.
It's legal, and the Clippers are in you know, the playoff hunt. They're in playoff mode. They're trying to play their best basketball. And I totally agree with Doc by saying, like, look, that was just a solid screen, and he's protecting his players, but also with Boland, he's like, I'm trying to protect my players, but his players need to be communicating. If a guy is up setting that screen that high, you got to have communication from the defender that's guarding Harkless.
No, I agree with you 1,000%, Ryan. Watching that play, even though Montrezl Harrell got called for that foul, when you go back and watch it again, if we show it, he's in position. He's giving the defensive player more than 3 steps. So to your point, the referee is looking, if there's less than 1 step, you call the foul. But when you watch that play again, there's more than 3 steps for the defender to get around that screen. So let's watch it. So there's poor. You see that? He's there. Montrezl Harrell is there. It's the teammates' poor communication why that foul happened. Now, obviously, Doc and Boland going back and forth. I agree with Doc. Doc's never been one of those coaches to start conversation with the opposing coach. He's trying to talk to his teammates. Very unfortunate situation for both coaches, but Doc being around a little bit longer, I tend to lean on Doc's side.
And that play of Montrezl Harrell, as far as being an energy guy, a screen setter, a rebounder, it's one of the reasons the Clippers have won 7 of their last 9 and are now 10 games over 500, really cruising into the playoffs. And if you look at their schedule coming up, they face a bunch of teams. 5 of their next 8 opponents are not in the playoff picture at all.
Chris, if you'd have told me, Tough Juice, if you'd have told me after that trade, and we knew we had just had Mr. Ballmer in studio, the owner of the Clippers, talking about if you don't make this trade, your team makes the playoffs, you're going to lose a very important draft status. He said, we don't care. He said, I'm all about basketball, I'm all about winning. So after that trade, to see how Lou Williams has played, how they played as a team defensively, they've been playing lights out basketball, and it's all because of Doc Rivers. Once again, like he showed us last year. But why is his name still down at the maybe 3rd or 4th or 5th for Coach of the Year again?
Because you look at the success of, you know, what the Milwaukee Bucks is doing,
Yep.
you know, with Greek Freak, and he's possibly going to be the MVP. So you look at Bud being in that situation where, okay, that can happen. And then you look at the success of the Denver Nuggets and what's happening with them. So Mike Malone done an excellent job with that process. But listen, make no mistake, Nate McMillan, Doc Rivers need to be in that discussion, because what they have been able to accomplish with so much more less has been simply amazing. Outside of Lou Williams, if you're not talking to a basketball mind or a basketball person, they would not be able to run down the roster of 6 or 7 other guys on that Clippers roster. So they've been amazing in what they've been able to accomplish, the culture that they've been able to create. And check this out. They got spots for 2 max guys available.
Yes.
This is crazy.
Yes.
So that's looking ahead, but let's look forward to the playoffs this year. They've had a great regular season. Again, 10 games, over 500. Look like they're going to stay there. Can they make noise in the postseason? Looking at 1-8, probably not. But if they get, let's say, a 2-7 matchup against the Nuggets or a 3-6 matchup between any of those teams, that can fluctuate?
Everything you just said, the only thing that makes sense, Chris, is the Nuggets, because of their lack of experience, lack of going deep. We know the Warriors, they're trying to make 5 in a row. So that's a different conversation. If the Rockets are healthy, they showed us last year, Game 7 was at home before Chris Paul got hurt. So those conversations, you say, the Clippers, you kind of want to stay away from those 2. You really want to try to get to 7 and test the Denver Nuggets, because outside of Millsap, there's no one gone deep in Western Conference or Eastern Conference, depending on what team they came from before they got to Denver. So that's why you say to yourself, to your question, try to get to the 7th seed.
That might be your best shot at it, but I think that when you look at the Nuggets, when you talk about Millsap and the only guy having that wealth of knowledge and that playoff experience, it might play in their favor that they don't have that knowledge and playoff experience. So you look at Boston last year, no Kyrie Irving, no Gordon Hayward.
I like it.
They was a couple minutes away from going to the NBA Finals. They're young enough not to know any better.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that's scary in its own right.
Yeah.
Let's play the free agent game that you were just about to play there and look at the Los Angeles Clippers, 2 max guys they can bring in. Who fits best there? Is it Kawhi Leonard?
Absolutely. I love Kawhi Leonard there. You know, I love Kawhi Leonard there. I love a reunite of Tobias Harris possibly. I love the possibility of Jimmy Butler being out there that can possibly come there. I love, you know, even bringing someone like a Kemba Walker over there. It's so many names that you can throw out there that fits the city and the culture, because the Clippers is a grind, a laboring type of team where, you know, Showtime is more LA with the Lakers and stuff like that with the big boom and, you know, all that. But when you look at the Clippers, that's a grind team.
Well, even looking at the 2 max slots, it's easy to just say, oh, okay, 2 max guys. But what about 1 max guy and then spreading that wealth amongst other players? You think that might be a good approach for the Clippers in the offseason?
I think that's going to probably be the biggest thing that happens because when you look at all the names, when you look at all the names, Tough Juice, you say this guy probably stays, this guy probably goes. Now, what if Toronto goes deep all the way into the playoffs? Maybe they go to the finals and lose, or maybe they win it all. Now, I would think Kawhi would want to stay in Toronto versus you would think that, right? It's like we always throw all these scenarios out there, but we also have to wait and see how this thing unfolds in the playoff. How deep do some of these guys go? But you make a good point. What if the Sixers go deep into the Eastern Conference? You bring up a good point. Hey, this is Jerry. Hey, Tobias. Hey, the reason I traded was all business. I love him to come back.
Come back.
Hey, this is Jerry West calling me. You mean I'm not going to say, hey, Jerry said he was sorry.
Yeah.
I'm going back to L.A. I love you, brother. I love you.
We saw your value.
Come on.
So that's how much we miss you.
So that's why you have to wait and see how some of this stuff plays out in the playoffs and how deep some of these guys go because it weighs on your emotions.
I think the narrative has changed in Los Angeles going across the street to the Lakers situation because before you looked at LeBron James and the Lakers. LeBron take you to the finals. You're on LeBron coattail. You're part of that experiment. No longer is that the case, and now LeBron actually needs help. So the recruiting process will be different. So some guys did not want to be in that situation where they like, look, I just rolled LeBron all the way to the destination. Now they're needed. So now LeBron is the pitch is going to be a little bit different. And you can see guys probably possibly sitting down with the Lakers saying, you know what? I can be the difference maker in this situation. You know what I mean? I can move the needle in this situation in the free agency and et cetera. So I think that the Lakers are going to land somebody significant.
A guy that was amongst this